Well, we have new information tonight on our ongoing investigation into the 911 dispatch delay that happened the night a Baldwinsville man died in a fire. Onondaga County Executive Joni Mahoney is apologizing to the family of fire victim Larry Gillette, saying she is sorry for their loss. She also says lessons learned from the handling of the fire led to training changes at the 911 center.
Do you feel like you have cold sweat?
Our exclusive investigation that aired in November and December revealed an Onondaga County 911 Center internal investigation into a deadly fire. It happened in November of 2012. A call that came in as difficulty breathing quickly escalated into an apartment fire. The 911 call taker upgraded the call, but an internal investigation discovered the fire dispatcher delayed sending the full fire department for nearly 5 minutes. The 911 commissioner wrote this: the delay was only the second fatality in the history of the 911 center where the delay in dispatch may have contributed to the outcome. For 3 years, the county kept results of the internal investigation to itself. We took our questions about that delay to County Executive Joni Mahoney in this exclusive interview.
911, Jennifer, where is your emergency?
Yes.
Oh, what can I help you with?
I'm having trouble breathing.
Onondaga County Executive Joni Mahoney has heard the 911 call from the night Larry Gillette died. She has seen our news reports. She says she takes seriously her obligation to provide public safety.
The first thing that comes to your mind is, just the loss of life and Mr. Gillette and his family, and your heart goes out to him, and my heart goes out to the employees at the 911 center. I mean, if that's what you do for your job and you're talking to people on the phone in crisis after crisis after crisis, and something like this happens, I mean, it's tragic for everybody.
Yet there was no announcement of what took place. There was no news conference a week after the fire that said, we found that there's a dispatch delay. Why wasn't the public made aware of that at that time?
Well, I think the process with the quality control was kicked into gear immediately. An investigation was started, and I think you've done a very good job of highlighting that, but I don't think there was any attempt by anybody to keep information. I think that information, particularly when fires happen, is handled exactly like that all the time. We almost in real time take those calls and fold them back into the training.
New 911 center records we obtained through a Freedom of Information request validate the county executive's claim that lessons learned from the dispatch delay were incorporated into the retraining of the involved dispatcher and also other staff. It was an affidavit from 911 Commissioner Bill Bliley that labeled the Baldwinsville fire as the second case of dispatch delay in a fatal fire in the history of the 911 center. The first was in 1998, when a mother and her 3 children died in a house fire in Syracuse on Lincoln Park Drive. Here we are 14 years later, and there's the second case of a dispatch delay contributing to the death in a fire, yet nobody knew that's what occurred until we did these reports 3 years after the fire.
Well,
so was there a lesson learned from 1998?
We handled over 600,000 calls last year. 500,000 of those resulted in dispatch. It is an extraordinary record that the men and women at 911 have of handling crisis and not making mistakes. And I think when a mistake happens and leads perhaps to the loss of life, it is something that everybody takes seriously. And as if you in particular have pointed out, I mean, there has been a lot that's happened as a result of this in terms of discipline, training, lessons learned, this quality assurance report that happened, and certainly a willingness to talk about what we can do to make things better.
But in this case, we went to the family's house 3 years after the fire, and I was the one who told them. Now, why wasn't that you or Bill Bliley or somebody from Onondaga County that did that? And that still hasn't happened. To this day, it hasn't happened.
And in sitting here and listening to you, I would agree with you. And that is something that I will personally, I would like to reach out to the Gillette family. I don't know why it didn't happen here, that he was reached out to personally by Onondaga County. I don't really have an explanation for that.
911 Jennifer, where is your emergency?
I do think that if there's a fatality, that we should have protocols in place to keep in touch with the family and let them know what we know. And you know, I said the same thing after I saw your report. The fact that the family heard about the delay from you is a clear indication that there's a breakdown in communication on our end.
Now, the dispatcher continued to work from the day of the delay through the full investigation. In January, we revealed the dispatcher had taken time off from work after our stories aired. County Executive Mahoney told us this week the dispatcher no longer works at the 911 center. Also, since we did this interview yesterday, the county executive did put in that phone call to the Gillette family to express her condolences.